So I'm working on this Kenworth W9 right behind me here. Got to do some air conditioning work to it. But there's kind of a story behind this. This is not my truck. This belongs to a friend of mine. The driver was out on the road, and whatever happened, I don't know if a fan clutch went bad or what, but ended up putting the engine fan blades through the radiator and ruining the radiator. So needed to get towed into a shop and get a radiator put in. So they did the job. $6,000 later, they said, oh, by the way, your AC condenser has a hole in it. We can't get one, whatever. Gave some kind of astronomical quote to fix the air conditioning then. And that was, they couldn't even get the parts. So I'm like, well, don't pay that. Just bring it home. Putting a condenser in a truck is no big deal. I got everything to do it. We can put a vacuum out. We can charge it and be on your way. So we ordered a condenser. It came in. And I picked up the truck today and brought it to the house. Oh, and another part of the story is I said, before they leave the shop out on the road, have them put that condenser back on so we make sure we get all our parts back, all our hardware and everything. Hook up the hoses. It doesn't need to be sitting exposed to atmospheric moisture for however long and going down the road, whatever. So, needless to say, they did not put the old condenser back on. And there is all kinds of hardware missing. Let me just show you here. I went to match up the condenser, make sure it was the right one. I'm like, this don't jive here. There's a whole lot of parts missing. So let me just show you this quick. So this is our condenser. As you notice, we got flush mount holes here, so it'll mount flush against the mounting brackets. Here's one port, and here's the other one down here. That is correct. The other side. And I held this up against the front of the engine here to judge where it's supposed to sit. And obviously we can see where the old one sat because it's clean above it, dirty below it, right? The upper holes for mounting are right up here. They're flush mount. But look at these bottom ones. They are nothing of the sort. Plus, when I hold it up to make the holes fit for the bracket on top, it's way up here, which puts it, 8 inches above where it's supposed to be for where the old one sat. And then, I'm better than a foot off of the bottom holes. Plus, it can't even sit that close because, it's recessed a little bit, blah, blah, blah. So I knew there's some mounting hardware here missing. So I called Kenworth, trying to piece all this together. And then they left this hose here, just doing that all the way home. So what do you think happened? It put a big old rub in the hose, and as soon as probably I charge it, it's going to blow. So we're going to need that hose. The other hose here, the outlet, is just missing altogether. It's supposed to go from the bottom all the way up to the top by the receiver dryer there. That hose is, who the hell knows where that hose is. And so now I'm going to buy those two hoses, and while I'm at it, probably replace these two also, just because they're pretty old. They look a little sketchy, but we'll see if we can get it. So here's another problem. This is a 2003 Kenworth. It's 20 years old, and parts availability might become a problem. So not only do we need mounting brackets here, there should be rubber strips to go between the brackets and the condenser. I don't know what kind of brackets are even supposed to go on there. And then the rubber bushings are missing. The rubber bushings are missing out of the top holes. I mean, I might as well put new high and low pressure switches in. And then I'm going to need a receiver dryer also. This job is going to turn out to be, it's still not a hard job, but tracking these parts down. So I got parts diagrams from Kenworth here. Let's just take a look at those quick. So I got all my parts diagrams, and I'm missing all these brackets. There's a rubber strip. Here's our lower brackets, the rubber bushings. That's just the mounting pieces. This sheet is the hoses. So, missing altogether. So here's my parts list. I got 11 different part numbers, and it's actually going to be 13 because there's 2 more hoses I'm going to put on here. And some of them have, quantity of 4, so there's about, I don't know, 25 total missing parts here that, you know, what do they do with them? I'm guessing they threw them in the freaking dumpster when they took the damn condenser off. So I'm gonna see if I can even round all this up. I hope so, and I'm under a time constraint here. I only got like a day and a half to get these parts and get her back on the road. So I guess the lesson to be learned here is get your parts back. Make sure, follow up on it. Like I said, it's not my truck. Kind of doing this as a favor, but insist on it. And this was a Boss truck shop that did this, and you know, you only got so many options sometimes too on the road. But yeah, so get this too. Also, they put a radiator in it, right? For it was almost $6,000 to do the radiator. And this is older comments here. Look at the coolant all over the damn place. There is coolant everywhere. Let's look at the other side. It's even worse. Look at the freaking coolant all over. I mean, you got the radiator out, you got the pipes off. You couldn't put a new hose on? Maybe throw a couple new clamps at it? I mean, come on here. What are we doing? So, anyway, wish me luck. I'll let you know how this all comes out. It's the next day. So some I was able to track down, and others were like, yeah, it's going to be like 2 weeks before we can get it, and we really need this truck on the road tomorrow. So I got with my buddy that owns the truck, said, hey, call this shop and threaten them. I don't know, tell them you technically stole my parts and I want them back. So he did that, and guess what? They said they were going to ship them overnight, expedited, and they had them all. And I'm like, yeah, right, we'll see. By gosh, they showed up today. If they didn't come by like 11 a.m., I was shocked. So I'll show you here what we all got back. So the hose we were missing is, let's see, this one right here. This is from the condenser to the receiver dryer. So we got that one back. I was able to find a new one, so I'm going to put the new one on. And then I'm going to have to reuse this one from the compressor to the condenser. I don't really want to because it's got a rub in it. It's got a rub in it on the back side of this hose. I can't get that for like 2 weeks. And the guy, I went to take it and have somebody just build me one. But he's like, I couldn't even get to it till Tuesday. I'm swamped. So, time being, we're going to reuse this one with the possibility of, hey, if we can get the new hoses, we're just going to change them later. But here's the biggest things right here. These mounting brackets. Check those. These, I don't know if they don't exist anymore. He's like, we got a special order those right from Packard. It's a Kenworth only part. And that was the holdup right there. And then I could have made these rubber strips here if need be. But these mounting brackets are what we really needed, because you can see they're, you know, it's flush mount up top, but then you come down here to the bottom and look at that. We got like a 90-45 type degree angle type thing on there. So I don't know, it's tough. It would have been tough to get them made because I don't have anything to compare it to or anything to give to a metal worker and say, hey, make me these. So we got that, and I just bought a whole O-ring kit. This is an O-ring kit for every AC fitting on this truck. I got that, and miscellaneous mounting hardware in here. So I think we actually got everything back, which would be in good shape. I got a new receiver dryer, and then I needed this hose for one of the air, or this fitting for an air tank here. What I'm worried about is this truck. What I'm worried about is they sent this truck on the road with the system open, and know it's got a lot of moisture in there. It definitely probably has some dust in there. So really it should have probably a flush out, but he really wants this truck on the road tomorrow, so we're just going to put a good vacuum on it and tell him, hey, if this thing, this compressor takes a crap on you, don't blame me. That's the guy beforehand here. If you get some dust in there or whatever. So we're going to get to putting this thing back together and see if we can't show you the finished product, see if it did indeed have all the parts we needed. All right, we're making good progress here. I had to move this party inside the shop because it started raining. So that's the nice part about having a shed. It was such a nice day out, like 70 degrees, perfect for working outside. But started to rain, so we brought her in here and started to put it together, and just about panicked right away because the shop that put the main mounting brackets back on the front of the charge air cooler had them turned to 90 degrees of what they needed to be, and it wouldn't fit. And I'm like, oh, well, duh, we just loosen the brackets and turn them. Everything was fine. So let me show you, we got her back together here. Everything's looking great. Got this one new hose on, and then our new receiver dryer right up there, and I really needed this hose replaced, but I couldn't get it for like a week. So what I did, threw the vacuum pump on it, a handy vacuum pump, and pulled a vacuum on it just to see if we're holding vacuum before I turn this vacuum pump on overnight and let her suck. We've been holding vacuum. We haven't lost anything. Look at that, we're 25 pounds of vacuum. They're not pounds, whatever the term is for vacuum, I forget. We're right at 25, we haven't moved in a half hour, so we're holding vacuum pretty good. And now what I'm gonna do, now that I know we're sealed up pretty tight, I am going to start this vacuum pump here. Flip of the tip. My handy dandy Harbor Freight vacuum pump. And we're gonna let this thing pull a vacuum like, I'm thinking like a good 8 hours. Now technically, this system should really be flushed. I ain't gonna lie, because they left the system open while he drove down the road for like a day. But the owner's like, I have to have this back tomorrow. And I said, well, you might have some dust and dirt in your compressor. I'm not gonna promise you're not gonna have a failure or something. You plug up an expansion valve, something. He's like, I don't care, we'll deal with that later. We gotta go. And I'm gonna try to seal up, see if I can't fix a couple of these coolant leaks here and make them happy, get them on down the road. So we'll charge this thing up in the morning, and hopefully everything is good to go. I've got some oil here. Got my UV AC dye. We're gonna put that in there. And then, in addition to the cans of R134, we're gonna put this handy dandy Cool Ox in here. I've been using that every time I redo an AC system and having good results. So that's where we're at, that's what we're doing. Wish me luck. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Alright, so I got started on this thing. It's early next morning, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to get this thing up and out of here so the driver can roll out. Everything went together. We filled it up. It held vacuum perfectly. Filled it up, and I just checked it, 33.1 degree air. I'll post a picture of it if I can get it from my phone into this video. I've never gotten one quite that cold before. Now granted, the outside air temperature is only in the 70s, so you know, got to account for that. So mission accomplished. We got all the parts, got it together, and we're gonna send this guy packing. I think I got that coolant leak up there fixed. We just cleaned it up, put another clamp on it, tightened her down, and I think we're good to go. Fixed a massive air leak coming from one of the air tanks, and we're out of here. See you next time.